Hey, friends, we are live. Welcome to the Sherdog Radio Network live recap for UFC 323, Dvalishvili versus Yan 2. I'm your ad hoc host for the night, Ben Duffy. Taking my place, as I take Keith Schillen's place, is Mr. Devin Tejada, host of the Check the Kick podcast on Sherdog.com. Dev, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you to all the people in the chat who are already lighting up the chat with plenty to talk about. I mean, it was a night of surprises for better or for worse. Before we even kind of break into this fight, I want to throw out some surprising numbers or some surprising statistical tilts, like things that I would not have predicted before this fight. Petr Yan winning the takedown battle 5-2.
Pantoja's arm exploding.
Yeah, well, I'm not even to that fight yet. I'm just talking about the main event.
No one could have picked these fights. Like, the outcome of both of these fights would have been on nobody's bet slip. Like the co-main in the main event. Like, no one had this. No one had Petr Yan by decision hurting Merab in every single round.
No, and here's the thing. Like, obviously, I picked Merab in this fight. He was a massive favorite. It's not like I was stepping out on a limb. I think a lot of people picked him, but I even went down this track on the preview. I said, okay, including Yan on Saturday, if somebody beats Merab during his prime, what's it look like? And I said it's going to be one of two things. Someone's going to have to hurt him super, super bad and swarm on him and finish him before he can recover, because he's easy to hurt, hard to stay on top of because his recoverability is incredible. So there's either that, or there's Merab shoots right into a terrible guillotine or dives right into somebody's guard and gets triangled. Basically a mistake by Merab. Like, this is not how I would have drawn it up. Like, for me, someone like Yan had to thread such a needle to beat someone like Merab, but damned if he didn't do it tonight. I don't think it's at all controversial to call this the most impressive performance of Jan's career.
And in turn, also the worst performance of Merab's run. Like, this is worse than even his first two fights in the UFC. I'm really having a hard time. I'm like standing on the fence. I'm teeter-tottering in between. Like, Petr Yan looked great, absolutely prepared. And not only did Merab have a poor game plan, but also, like, he just seemed like a tick off. Like, he never got going. Like, it just seemed, I don't know. Merab also just seemed like he had 4 fights in a year and he's an older bantamweight.
It's possible. And a few people have already thrown it out, in the chat. Maybe it's worth asking whether Merab bit off more than he could chew. Like, not just talking about possibly being overconfident coming into this fight, but just trying to defend the title 4 times in a year. Maybe that was a little bit of hubris on his part. He doesn't need me to excuse this loss. I mean, he just had a 14 fight win streak snapped. He'll be back. And I don't really want to take anything away from Jan's performance. He just, even if you told me coming into this fight, yeah, Merab's not going to throw basically any leg kicks, he's going to abandon one of his most underratedly effective weapons, I still would have been comfortably on the side of Merab here. It's not just that made this such a dominant performance for Yan. Throw out in the chat how you scored this fight.
I mean, you heard me in the Sherdog stack.
Unless you're Daniel Cormier. If you're Daniel Cormier, I don't care how you scored this fight, because you thought Merab was up 3 rounds to none at one point.
I was complaining about the kicks because that's what he garnered tons of success by blasting leg kicks against Petr Yan in their first fight. And those seem to be there, like, available. Yan just kind of plans, he'll either use the long guard. He was using his long guard, but he's keeping one hand glued to his face. Like, and he's, he's not bouncy. Like, Yan was very planted in this fight. I thought Merab also not trying to shoot takedowns out in open space was weird. Like, clearly, if you're getting defended over and over again against the cage, like, you need to try to do something else. It was strange because Merab did land a lot on Yan, but when Yan was landing back, it was just like 3-1 in comparison. Merab's face was busted up. His nose was extra flat more than ever. He still didn't get tired, but he still seemed like, I don't know.
He didn't get tired in the sense of just standing with his hands on his knees, huffing and puffing like the end of Kimbo Slice Houston Alexander. But it's worth noting that in the 4th and 5th rounds, he had literally 10 takedown attempts in a row where he shot in, Yan just sprawled, got one underhook, and Merab just stood back up right away. That may be what it looks like when Merab Dvalishvili is tired. Because normally he finishes those takedowns in rounds 4 and 5 with just sheer persistence. Like, he's either going to finish the takedown or he's going to, just turn the corner, take the back standing, but make your life miserable either way. The fact that he bailed on like his last dozen takedowns so easily makes me think that, like maybe he was a little more tired than we've seen him before. A lot of people here, I don't see anybody saying anything other than 50-45 Yan or 49-46 Yan. That's kind of where I fall. I was not in scoring mode as I watched, but in the moments, I thought Merab may have won the first round, and I thought Yan won all the others.
In the first round, Merab, it was one of those things where like one dude did all of the work mostly, but then just got hit with one big shot. But man, like, Petr Yan hurt him in every way that you could. Like, he hurt him with strikes on the feet, kicks to the body. He hit him with a really beautiful, like, shovel uppercut, bam, right up into the floating rib, fucking ripped that. Like, Yan has always been like a menacing dude, but he seemed to have like maybe lost his confidence and like he had his mojo back tonight. Like, he, the no mercy moniker, like he's upholding that pretty well. This was a violent ass fight from Petr Yan. He was violent everywhere. By the end of the 4th round, he was throwing that same, like, where he'll like throw the spinning back fist, but will like gain momentum to whip the other overhand over it. Like the way he rocked Corey Sandhagen. Like he was throwing that shit at Merab, and he was in flow in this fight. He looked like he was starting to gas in the 3rd round. He had his mouth open, and then like between the 3rd and the 4th, like, I don't know if they shot him in the arm in his corner, or maybe they brought up his kids and his wife, and you got more energy. And I mean, this was also super impressive by Petr Yan. Like, if that's the Merab we have now, and that's the Petr Yan is clearly the best bantamweight in the world. And in my opinion, I think that's if the Umar Nurmagomedov that's been showing up lately, I don't know if he wants that smoke with this dude.
Well,
Petr Yan looked good.
He really did.
He kept volume with Merab. Like, he matched him tit for tat with everything. By the end of the fight, I think Merab might have been up by like 10 or 15 significant strikes per the UFC. We haven't got that number yet. Plus all the wrestling.
And I mean, Merab lands a ton of strikes.
Sure.
Just because he throws so many. So for him to have outlanded Yan doesn't surprise me, but Yan won either 4 or 5 rounds, depending on, how you scored it, but he won a lot of them with individual, like, he just had the individual moments of greater damage, greater effectiveness in his striking, as well as his wrestling. It's not just that he landed more takedowns than Merab. His takedowns are like spiking Merab on his head. Like even when Merab did his like little basically Hulkamania thing and scooped him up and carried him around the cage for what felt like 7 or 8 seconds before dumping him, it's not like he speared him with the shoulder through the guts. He still just kind of dumped him and then went to work. Like,
he got no control, like really no ground and pound. He did hit a really slick reversal, like after Petroyan was able to get that first takedown, scrambling with Merab. I do believe in like a wrestling match, Merab is still probably the better dude, but like in MMA, Petroyan also really did a great job of like immediate wrist control, immediate underhooks, cutting the angle, and then punishing Merab on the breaks. Like on all the breaks after defending the grappling, he was fucking ripping shots to the body, ripping shots around the guard. He hurt Merab once at that point. Like, and this was vintage Petroyan, like how in like the Jimmy Rivera fight where he like, it was like getting kind of close and then he just started winging shots and really hurt him. Same thing with the Corey Sandhagen fight. You know, this is kind of vintage Jan, and he's 2 years younger. He's like 32 now, I believe. So, I mean, if this is how he continues to show up and like that is the best version of Merab, we got a really good champ on our hands. I'm also not sure if that was the best version of Merab.
The only way to tell that is to watch Merab's next fight. Certainly he's going to have a lot to prove next time out, whereas Jan is kind of sitting pretty. I want to bring this up that Mr. C threw out there. I'm mildly surprised that Merab survived all the body shots he took.
Scream. He got hit. He went, ah! Like, yeah. That's, you know, I think the last time I screamed like that in pain, I was walking through my parents' garage barefoot, and I turned a blind corner, and there was a pickaxe, and the pickaxe went right between my two toes, about this deep, and I audibly screamed quite loud. But you know, that's the last time I screamed like that, and boy, oh boy, I'm sure getting hit with Petroyan's body kick hurt worse.
And he nailed him 3 or 4 more times to that side with punches. Like,
yeah, there was one break where he ripped him with like that shovel uppercut right to the floating rib, and he just you could see Merab go ooh, and
like
this was great.
On top of just losing round after round, it's just I don't know that we've ever seen Merab just that on his heels in a fight where he's the one that's in reactive mode. He's the one who's a step behind. You mentioned how effective Jan was at just tagging him and hurting him on the break. Like, just that's normally something that Merab is better at.
The jab,
one of the things that Merab is normally so good at is, he shoots a million takedowns. He doesn't get all of them, but 1, he's wearing you out, and 2, he's sneaky good about, like
always firing.
Always firing, hitting you with something on the break. Instead, he's the one eating shots on the break here. Just, again, absolutely sensational performance from Petr Yan.
Which also kind of leads me to believe that there's something weird going on with Merab, because even when Merab is like usually, not getting the takedown, but he has the back with the rear waist cinch, he'll be throwing big shots up over the top. Like he wasn't doing a ton of that tonight. It's either with him, he was either in this fight, he was like striking or grappling. He wasn't really he wasn't blending very well tonight. And I really think a huge disservice was just not to be ripping leg kicks from the jump. You had so much success with that. Ripping the leg kicks, shooting the takedowns, and throwing the hands. Like he just took away 1/3 of his offense in this fight too. I don't think he threw one tiny little like tapping kick to the knee. Nothing to the calf.
A few people in the chat are asking whether the UFC will do its usual and grant an immediate rematch, especially to a champ that's, defended a bunch of times. Obviously, Merab, for whatever reasons, is not the UFC's favorite. They may be glad to be rid of him for a while. It's entirely possible he'll come out and say, hey, I need some time off. I need to recuperate. I saw a little noise, like something may have happened. Well, something definitely happened to his nose during the fight. Something may have happened to his jaw in one of the middle rounds. We saw a little of that.
He does that shit sometimes too, though. I've seen him do wonky stuff.
Yeah. Throw in the chat what you would do for Petr Yan's first defense of his new title reign, whether you think it should be Merab. Like, operating the assumption that Merab would be ready to go in 3 or 4 months. What are you doing for Jan's first title defense? I'll say this. If you're familiar with our show at all, you know that I am not a fan of immediate title rematches unless there was some controversy, like a bad decision and a weird freakish injury, which we'll get to in a minute. But if the UFC does it here, I'm not that mad, because maybe the most surprising outcome out of everything that happened tonight, the thing I thought I'd be least likely to be saying right now, is that I want to see them fight again. I did not expect to be saying that right now. I expected that Merab was going to beat Jan worse than he did the first time, and we're all going to move on. I would not at all mind seeing these two again.
It's weird, because they also both kind of beat the shit out of each other. These weren't like close competitive fights. Like Merab kind of kicked the shit out of Petr Yan in the first fight, and then we just watched Petr Yan kind of kick the shit out of Merab. I think the UFC is probably a bit happy with this outcome because Merab has defeated already Umar Nurmagomedov, and no one is screaming for that. And then we've already seen him beat Sean O'Malley twice. Both of those dudes just so happen to be matched up in semi-favorable fights. I think Umar Nurmagomedov has a much more favorable fight against Deiveson Figueiredo than Sean O'Malley has against Song Yadong, but I still favor both of those dudes to probably win those two fights. And I think whoever wins either one of those, like if Umar goes out there and just kicks Deiveson Figueiredo's head off, we're watching Petr Yan versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I do think that Merab probably deserves a rematch. And that doesn't mean he'll be the next title fight, though. He may go and lick his wounds. If anyone deserves a break, it's him, dude. Like, he could still be the fighter of the year, even though he lost tonight. He won't be my vote, but he could be. And we might not see him till like June or July of next year. And, knowing the UFC, don't be surprised. Like, if Sean O'Malley wins super impressively and Umar wins super impressively, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC is like, hey, Merab, you want to fight Peyton Talbott in a main event somewhere on the road? So they could do it. Kind of, who knows what's going to happen here.
The UFC men's bantamweight division is a pretty interesting place.
It's wide fucking open now. It's wide open.
It is. Any other general thoughts on that before we jump down to the co-main?
No one here, none of us expected Petr Yan to perform like this. And
no,
I mean, dude, that was like, by the time the fourth round started, I'm like, Merab needs a finish, and he doesn't do that. So yeah, that was just a really, really, regardless of injuries, activity, age, whatever, like that was still super dope from Petr Yan. He was dope.
Looked incredible. In the co-main, the UFC men's flyweight title was up for grabs. Alexandre Pantoja, your defending champ, took on the red hot rising Josh Van. I'm going to say this, like, a lot of people that I know in the industry were picking Van in the substantial upset. I mean, he was like a 2-1 underdog. Keith and I both picked him on the preview. Sean Sheehan, our main betting man, picked him. None of us picked it to end this way, and I don't think anybody would want it to go this way. Obviously, Pantoja tries a head kick. Van basically isn't even really going for a takedown, just sort of treetops him. And you look at the replay, he's just sort of shoving him off. He wanted to go back to fighting on the feet, as you would. And Pantoja posts an arm to break his own fall. We have seen this before. We saw it fairly recently with Joe Pyfer. We saw it a million years ago with Shogun Rua. The one notable difference,
the Dudakova Estela Nunes, the most famous posting arm break. How did I grab that one out of all the other ones? Yeah. How was I able to grab that one? I don't know.
I will say one thing that's slightly odd, and I can't picture the Nunes Dudakova one right now, but picturing again Pyfer versus Stoltzfus, or Shogun versus Mark Coleman. The fighter that got injured was posting a limb to basically bear both fighters' weight. like by the time Pantoja posted his arm, Van wasn't even touching him anymore. He had his own weight and his own momentum, and it just went bad. Obviously, that's a freakish outcome.
Dude, that was...
Fester Eugene says Van showed his age with the celebration afterwards. I would agree. You got a 24-year-old kid full of adrenaline, full of endorphins. He's just had the biggest accomplishment of his life, whether it happened, how he drew it up. I am inclined to give him somewhat of a pass on it. And I mean, it's not like he was completely tasteless, just he seemed to be pretty celebratory for, 26 seconds of work. So, yeah.
In those situations, like if I had my whole family there with me, like he did, I'd be like, hey guys, we're just not gonna, you don't need to come in for this one. I won, but like, this isn't like it's a win, but not a victory. I think that's like the best way to describe this outcome. Because he won the fight, but he didn't beat Alexandre Pantoja. Yeah. I feel bad for Pants because clearly his arm is absolutely screwed. It hyperextended and broke the other direction like that. Like the only that. I don't know what's worse, to have it to your arm like that or a knee. Probably a knee, because I think that the arm rehab may be better. But like he's gonna probably need like nuts and bolts in there.
Probably, it makes
bad.
the question of what happens next a more complicated one, because I just, again, talking about people we've seen fairly recently, Joe Pyfer was on the shelf for 16 months after his arm injury, and he's a full decade younger than Pantoja and was like a 6 or 7 fight veteran at that point. Like a lot less total wear and tear on top of everything else.
I'm going to say this year, the flyweight belt will change hands twice before Pantoja fights again.
I think it'll be contested at least twice more. Whether it changes hands will depend on
at least contested
who Van fights and how it goes, but it'll be contested. Yeah. I have the feeling that we're going to see Pantoja in 2027.
And the worst thing is, it's like he's not Josh Van's age. If this happened to Josh Van, it'd be terrible, but he's 24. Pants is like 36, right?
Yep.
Yeah. 36. So what, he's going to be back at 37 or maybe approaching 38. Like that's not good. This is, this is terrible for him. Just the absolute worst outcome ever. Like this is bad news.
It is bad news. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it, except, what do you think is next for Van?
I think it's not best case scenario the way that it happened. Like obviously best case scenario for the UFC probably would have been like Joshua Van to knock out Pantoja like in the very first round, and then they can turn around and shove him on a card in the very first quarter of 2026. What's next for Josh Van though? I think they may try to like potentially boost up this BMF card, and I think he probably will fight Tatsuro Taira like in February, because they're gonna probably be like, hey, let's sweeten up this card. Right now we only have Max and Oliveira at the top. I think a great co-main event to get a bunch of Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira are like two of the biggest names in the UFC right now, and what a good way to promote the men's flyweight division. The UFC loves Joshua Van, it seems like, and they also love Tatsuro Taira, and I think it's a win-win with whatever the outcome of that fight is.
I think you're probably right. Let us know in the chat if you see any different next step. Do
it quick. Like just do it in February on that card. Yeah. Joshua Van will do it, and so will Tatsuro Taira. Yeah. Make it happen.
I'm going to throw out, like Boxing God says, post-fight show said it was shoulder injury, no elbow. There might be shoulder injury in addition to elbow, but there's no way his elbow's not fucked. Like there was a visible like divot where the joint was out of joint, like that.
Well, this the wrong way.
He might have a shoulder injury too. I hope not. Will Taira and Van be the youngest title fight ever? I'd have to do a little looking, but it probably is.
If not in the top 3.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who's the youngest person that Jones ever defended against while he was in his 20s. Trying to think, like, how old was Josh, or how old was Randy Couture when Josh Barnett beat? Like, I'm just trying to think of like super young champs, you know, like
Maybe
Nami
some
Yunus
women's
and
strawweight
Nami
stuff,
Yunus
yeah.
Esparza won, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
That's yeah, you know, you're probably onto something there. If it's got to be top three
like
for sure.
Bobby Boucher, it's probably number one. I can't think of anything else, and yeah, definitely at least top three. Prior to that, Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira in your featured fight of the night. Obviously, ultra high level, ultra relevant flyweight contenders fight became even more relevant shortly thereafter once we had a new champ. We got multiple things to talk about here. Okay, it ends via TKO. Taira, you know, punching on Moreno. Referee Mark Smith moves in for the stoppage. It was not a great night of work for Mark Smith.
No,
and it was not a great night of work in ways that affected fight outcomes. And I'm not necessarily saying that Moreno would have recovered and come back to beat Taira, but given the stakes of this fight, a probable title eliminator, and given Moreno's demonstrated history, he deserved a little more slack than that.
And technically, you're not supposed to take any of that into consideration when you're officiating a fight. However, even without taking that into consideration, you know, as a ref, you're not like, well, Moreno's never been finished. You know, the guy's in danger. But like, I still, even if you don't take all that into consideration, I still think it was a bad stoppage. Like, if you're just like, you know, I don't know any of these guys' history, I'm just here to officiate this. I think, you know, I still think it was a bad stoppage. I also do agree with you. Like, you know, with Moreno's never been stopped before. Like, you got to kind of, you know, give that guy the longest leash you can, especially in a high stakes bout like this.
The guy has spent an hour of his life fighting with Davison Figueiredo. Like, he's earned the right to, yeah.
He's earned the right to die. Like and it was actually a really close fight that like Moreno was up in until Taira got the back. You know, something to be said though, like clearly when we have called Pantoja and others like one of the best back takers in the UFC and dangerous, but like this dude is not just willing to squeeze your head off. Like he will flatten you out and pound the, you know, and crush you with hammers. He's huge for this division. He's going to be way bigger than Josh Van.
Mm-hmm. He is a big dude for the division. And there seems to come a turning point for a lot of fantastic grapplers in MMA where they turn from just, I am a submission wizard to I am now willing to ground and pound people. I'm nasty with it. And it actually makes the submission and positional part of my grappling even more effective because it's just one more thing my opponent has to worry about. The one I will come back to often is actually Ben Askren, where it was probably 12 or 13 fights into his career before he finally realized, okay, I am such a better wrestler and grappler than these people that I'm controlling them and I literally have a free hand. Why don't I just start using this hand to beat the shit out of people?
You're damn right.
And
I can control you with 3 of my digits and you need all 4.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. This finish was like a very like Khabib Nurmagomedov-esque, like take the back, flatten you out, lights out, ground and pound. Ground and pound is something that's been missing from the UFC as of lately. So even though I'm actually like not a Taira booster, and I've been a person that's like always like kind of been, I'm not all the way sure about Taira. Like even in this fight, like he was in that reverse, he was in that triangle for a hot minute. And then through that second round, like he was kind of getting touched up. Moreno was dodging all of his shots and hitting them with clean shots, defending the takedowns. But dude, all it took was that. Even I do think though, Taira probably would have finished him there anyway.
Right, and I think you might be right, but you can't judge these kind of officiating gaffes strictly on the immediate consequences. Like it would be the same as if the Federal Aviation Administration only investigated when there was an actual plane crash, not when there was a near miss.
We don't do any audits. We just look when there's a problem.
Or like if drunk driving was a crime only if you got into a wreck, like if you make it home, you're safe. Like there has to be something.
I'm kidding.
There has to be something said for the process. Like
yeah, and it's kind of a disservice to all parties involved too. Like it sucks for us, the fans, because we're here as much as we do this, like we're fans first. So we're like, kind of, and we all like Moreno, and it was kind of just an underwhelming outcome based off the way that the fight was starting to play out. For Taira, like Taira's very lucky. He's Tatsuro Taira, and the UFC would love to have a Japanese champion because like no matter how he won this fight, it kind of, doesn't matter, but it's still, people are going to be like, well, did he really finish Moreno? People are still going to be questioning it. The back take though, and the way he flattened him out, like to me, that was some truly lights out stuff.
Yeah. And we have a couple of people that don't think it was a bad stoppage. Yeah. Espafron, Boxing God, neither of them think it was a bad stoppage. I do think it was early, but again, you hear me here saying, I don't think it necessarily affected the outcome of this fight. And it wasn't, well, it might've been the worst stoppage tonight, but it wasn't even one of the worst stoppages of the last couple months. And it wasn't even Mark Smith's worst moment of the night. So
did we all just forget about the UFC betting scandal and like Jason Herzog randomly being under fire, and then that all goes away, and then you got Mark Smith operating the way he was operating tonight? Like it's just, I mean, what a it's like a house of mirrors, a fun house.
Yeah, that's
it's weird stuff.
Hopefully that has nothing to do with it. What do you do next with these guys? Is it Taira versus Van for you, or is Pantoja getting an immediate title shot? Guys in the chat, what are you doing with these two fighters? What are you doing with Moreno? What are you doing with Taira?
Pantoja could probably get an immediate title shot, regardless of who's champ by the time he comes back. I think we're going to see Tatsuro Taira versus, I already went over my whole spiel. And then I think we'll probably see if Manal Kopp beats Brandon Royval. I think Manal Kopp and Brandon Moreno make a ton of sense, because Brandon Moreno is probably going to want to get that one back. I don't think he's going to be put on concussion protocol from that. He might be. Kyoji, maybe Kyoji versus Moreno. That would be really, really dope too.
Yeah. I prepared to come into this show and throw out the devil's advocate question of, do you think Kyoji Horiguchi could be wearing 2 UFC belts by the end of next year? I don't know if I even want to ask that question anymore. With as well, I mean,
beating Petrion.
That's the thing. Like with as good as Jan looked, yeah.
And I don't know if Horiguchi looked incredible his last time out against Ulanbekov, but like Taira and Josh Van, these two young dudes that are sub 27, like these two dudes are really, really good, and they're really young. And they're just going to get better. Like, even though we didn't see Joshua Van perform tonight, like he's going to be better next camp. And the same thing with Taira too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Van had been improving, measurably from fight to fight anyway. He's a 24-year-old that's only been able to do this full time, for like 2 years. He's been improving from fight to fight anyway. Mitla Amesh says that, I assume he's listening to the post-fight presser, and we got some news from the hospital, but Pantoja's injury was only a dislocation that fixed itself without help. As far as I'm concerned, that is exactly the kind of situation where an immediate title rematch is warranted, like especially when it's the champ that got dethroned that way. So if he's ready to go in a reasonable amount of time, I'm fine with an immediate rematch there. If he needs or wants 6 months and Van wants to fight again in the meanwhile, grab Taira, grab Horiguchi, South of that, we had bantamweights in action once again. The retiring Henry Cejudo trying to build on his legacy as the self-proclaimed greatest combat sports athlete of all time against Peyton Talbott, who is just trying to put his lone professional loss a little further in the rear view. What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry. I was looking on Twitter to see if I could find that injury report, and I see a tweet from Zalgas Zumagulov that says the guy I lost to by split decision just became the champion today. I think now you can see the level I fight at.
Poor
Sorry.
Poor Zalgas. Poor Zalgas.
Best haircut in the game.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know what I expect. Well, I do know what I expected out of this fight. I expected it to suck. Like I expected that we were either going to get the wrong kind of vintage Cejudo performance and he was just going to out wrestle Talbott badly, or Talbott was just going to jab the living bejesus out of Cejudo, but never really be in danger of hurting him badly or finishing him. I was wrong on every possible count. This was an incredibly enjoyable fight. Cejudo, I mean, he looked old. He definitely looked slower than he has in the past, but he still fought pretty damn well. Talbott showed a couple of things that he had not really shown even in his best moments up until now. Like, he's got his power is coming along. Like, Keith is the one who will always ride the thing of, you know, a fighter up until 27 is probably still gaining power from fight to fight. It shows in Talbott. He used to be a death by 1,000 cuts type guy. Now it might just take 10 or 15.
There, like in that first round where he rang Henry's bell, like a lot of other bantamweights would have gotten knocked the F out from that. Henry just like literally one of the most durable dudes like out there. It's his power, but also too, like he's just a very educated fighter. He's very calm. His shot selection is really, really good. Like, oh my God, imagine him and Petrion going tit for tat, like striking. Boy. And for Henry, like he went out on a shield. He didn't have to take this fight. Quite frankly, this was a stupid fight for Henry to take. He could have beat up on some other, like from what I saw tonight too, like there are bantamweights on the roster that Henry Cejudo can beat in a fight. Yeah. Like for sure. But I appreciate Henry taking his approach that he took against Marlon Moraes, like even though it didn't come to fruition for him, where you could see the moment in the fight where he goes, well, fuck it. Like, and I appreciate that. Like you could tell there was a moment where he goes, this kid's good, fuck it. Like, you know, like if I die, I die, you know, and he went out on a shield. It was great. And even in the post fight, Dana has never shown Henry Cejudo that much respect.
No. But yeah, he showed him some love there. Boxing God says Talbott is the star fight organization's dream of having. So marketable. Agreed. I mean, he is like dude. Yeah, like he's got, you know, an engaging personality. He's got a super exciting fight style. He is actually a very, very good fighter.
Not many dudes are going to be like scrambling with even present day Henry Cejudo and having success getting takedowns. He hit the inside trip on Henry.
He sure did.
Like that's Henry's thing. That was like a true like passing of the torch moment. Where like he hit that on Henry and Henry was like, you mother effer. All right. You know, Henry wasn't salty. He was in very good spirits after the loss. Even, you know, he said, Dana, thank you for everything. You've given my family an opportunity. Let me get 50 grand. Dana goes, I'm giving you 50 grand for that, bud. Like that was cool. You know, not many fighters go out on a loss like that and retire and still figure out a way to snatch up 50 grand on the way out.
Yeah. I mean, for retiring on a loss, that's honestly about as storybook as it gets.
Yeah. I know we're going to get to it, but this did not look like Edson Barbosa.
No, it did not. Mr. C in the informality asks, who improved the wrestling more, Talbott or Jan? I'm going to say Talbott. Like, Jan was already a very good wrestler.
Yes.
I didn't expect him to use it as much as he did on Merab. I didn't expect it to be as effective as it was. And there's always a question that Merab really didn't look like his absolute best self. Whereas Talbott, yeah, If you'd asked me beforehand, I would have been like, it's much more likely that Jan takes Merab down than Talbot takes Cejudo down. One, because why would Talbot do that? And two, because I didn't think he'd be able to. Yeah,
and he was landing ground and pound, having control over Henry, and even in the moment where he was on his back and Henry was kind of in a lockdown position, like he was still remaining composed. He didn't get put into a bad way. He didn't get destroyed with ground and pound like he did against Barcelos. Talbot has really good cardio. My only concern for him at this point is his ability to continue to make the weight, because this reminds me of Paddy Pimblett at 155, like a dude that's just still not skill wise. I think he's probably better than Paddy, but just huge for the division and still young and seemingly looking even bigger in between fights. He's gonna finish his career at 145. There's no way he's
I think you're probably right.
He's huge.
He is. What are you doing with Talbot next?
I think he deserves a shot up the rankings.
So do I. What are you giving him?
Who do you have first? I want to see. I wonder if we have the same.
I have the.
Because I have a stipulation. It's a stipulation.
Well, no,
fight.
I don't even have a stipulation. I have Song Yadong. Because here's the thing, O'Malley and Song are fighting in 6 weeks. They're fighting on January 24th.
Onto something.
If O'Malley wins, he's probably too close to the title picture. He's probably too close to the title picture for Talbot to grab at. If Song wins, he's probably not close enough. So I think Talbot can fight Song either way.
Yeah, I was thinking potentially if Davison Figueiredo doesn't get absolutely killed by Umar Nurmagomedov, but loses. I expect him to lose that fight, but just not get killed. Then he can do the thing of kind of beating up guys that he's rubbed shoulders with in training. I know Henry and Davison, Henry trained Davison for Brandon Moreno camps. But I think the Song Yadong thing is a good idea, because Song Yadong will also have the rub from Sean O'Malley, whether he wins or loses. All of the, fight posters, all of the, pre-fight stuff. Everyone's going to know who Song Yadong is. I was also thinking, I would not be surprised if the UFC's hey, Corey Sandhagen, you want to fight this guy?
And you know what? Sandhagen is a guy that I just want to see that fight. If they can justify it at all in terms of rankings, please make it happen.
Yeah. And Talbot's only going up. Henry was ranked number 10, and I guarantee they're going to put Talbot at number 8.
Yeah.
After this, and he's going to go and fight someone that is, in the top 5 or better in his next fight. I think the UFC is going to want to try to do the same thing they did with Sean O'Malley. Try to get him as many fights as they can, where unblemished up to a title fight.
Bobby Boucher throws out Talbot versus, I'm assuming, Simon Oliveira. I love that as a fight. I can't picture the UFC doing that just because the risk to reward ratio for Talbot would be kind of low. Talbot, they can book Talbot with a bigger name that poses less of a threat, because no tape study off the cuff. I'm not even sure who I'd favor in that, Yeah.
Or maybe they shove him in there against someone like Cheeto or Amin Zahabi.
Or Mario Bautista, as Ayman Report throws out.
Henry's ranked number 10 and Bautista's ranked number 9 in the UFC's rankings, and I don't think the UFC is looking to play that game with Talbot.
But Bautista, I don't care what the UFC has him ranked. Hell, I don't care what Sherdog has him ranked. He is the gatekeeper to the top 5. If you can beat Mario Bautista, you're probably top 5 guy.
Yeah. Davison Figueiredo is ranked number 6 in the division right now, which that seems kind of interesting to me.
Yes. Interesting.
It's the UFC's rankings have Merab as the champion currently, Umar Nurmagomedov as number 1, Sean O'Malley number 2, Petrion number 3, Corey Sandhagen number 4, Song Yadong number 5, and then after 5 it kind of falls off a cliff a little bit. Then it goes down to Davison Figueiredo, Ayman Zahabi, and Marlon Vera. I think those are probably one of the 3 best options for Peyton Talbot next, or Song Yadong.
I say that, but you know what? The way Ayman Zahabi has looked, if I'm the UFC, I'm probably keeping those guys away from each other. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want 37-year-old Eamon Zahabi like knocking Talbot back down a couple of rungs, like setting his progress back a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do go to Canada a lot, though.
Yeah.
You know? Really impressed though by Talbot, man. Like, dude, for a young dude, huge for the division, good cardio, really, really good angles, really, really good footwork. Yeah. He was getting clipped up by Henry in this fight too. Like, he also ate some big shots and stayed composed. He just the knees up, the step in knees, Henry being so short. Like, he can bring his knee to just Henry's chin, like standing. Those standing knees, like Henry would go to shoot the single and he'd meet him with that knee. Like, boy. Yeah. Kind of kicked Henry's ass a little bit.
And Talbot, the last thing I'll say about this is Talbot, for a guy that, he is big for the division, he is capable of fighting 3 rounds at a furious pace, no problem. Oh. So I am excited to see this guy in 5-round fights.
Me too. And that's what he needs to do next, regardless of, whoever they put him in there against next. They need to put him probably 5 rounds, maybe the Apex or maybe, on one of these, traveling cards.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see kind of what the UFC's whole business looks like next year. They've been really, really guarded about it. And we're at the point in the year now where they are obviously forbidden from even talking about like the Paramount stuff, like on the ESPN broadcast, just the weird ways they would talk around, specific dates and specific events was kind of funny. But yeah, find Peyton Talbot an opportunity for a 5-round fight ASAP, please. Before that, the main card opener, the only fight north of 135 pounds on the whole main card. Former champ Jan Błachowicz takes on rising contender Bogdan Guskov, and it ends up being a majority draw. In the chat, our people, how'd you score this one? Like, basically it comes down to one pretty simple thing. If you gave Guskov a 10-8 in round 2, then you probably have a draw, because Błachowicz won rounds 1 and 3 in pretty straightforward fashion, and Guskov put it on Jan pretty badly in round 2.
I think Jan Błachowicz is the better fighter out of the two right now. Probably.
That's not the question, Dev. The question is how you score the damn fight.
No, I here's the thing is, if you want to score that a 10-8 round, then we need to see way more 10-8 rounds in MMA, because you could probably score that a 10-8 round. But like, I was almost surprised to see the judges score it a 10-8, because we normally don't see those types of rounds all the time being 10-8s, especially for 2 of the 3 to give it a 10-8. I was a little bit surprised. I don't mind the 10-8 scorecard based on the way that, the not so generous amount of 10-8s we get in current MMA. I'm surprised. I think Jan probably should have won that. But it was definitely much more of 2. First round was kind of close. The third round, Jan actually hurt him pretty bad right at the end. And if there was more time left in that round, maybe Jan was going to get a finish there. I don't know. How about you?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I scored the second round 10-8. So, on my scorecard, it would have been a draw. I'm looking at MMA decisions right now, and among the media scorers, who not everybody in the media knows exactly what they're looking at. Not all of them are super up on the rules.
I gotta go.
But as a general hive mind, the media panel on MMAdecisions.com gets it right probably more often than the actual judges. And I'm looking at it. It is 6 for Błachowicz, 8 draws, and that doesn't count me because I didn't bother sending in my scores this time. So yeah, I mean, probably a good 2/3 would have given it 10-8. I did, but the thing that leaves me conflicted is, I feel like Błachowicz. I still feel like Błachowicz is the better fighter. If I score the fight as a whole, score it Pride style, 1 championship style. I mean, I have to rewatch it, but I might give it to Jan. Like,
he hurt him real bad in the third, was chasing him down, crushing him with leg kicks. Like, And the shot that got Jan put on his back was more of him getting squared up and on one foot trying to kind of exit out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes a leap out, and Guskov threw that
Yeah.
big long right hand down the pike, and it kind of caught him off balance, sent him on his back. He wasn't out. And I think maybe that is why they would have gave it the 10-8 because of like getting dropped, but it wasn't like a super concussive blow where they're like trading in the pocket and he hit him with a big hook and, you know, kind of setting him down sideways, super concussed. Jan was just kind of, you know, off of his feet and got hit in a weird way. But that's why footwork is important. You know, if your feet are in proper position and you're exiting properly, you don't get caught slipping like that. But it's also MMA. Yeah, and like the UFC probably wanted Guskov to win this. You go back and look at Jan Blachowicz' record. He's got like a draw against Ankalaev, the draw against Guskov, the loss against Pereira. But like, boy, oh boy, was this also like a real standard, typical Jan Blachowicz fight.
Yeah, real typical Jan Blachowicz fight, but he looked 41 or 42, whatever he is. For that reason,
gone. And his blitzes are gone. That's what it is Jan Blachowicz was used to be known for, like, there was moments in the pocket where he was like whipping his big left hook and Guskov was just like able to get out of the way. Where if you go back and look at him like finishing Dominic Reyes, where they're brawling in the pocket and he's like able to just slip and fire back, and like his hand speed is gone. And then he also used to do like his, you know, Jan Blachowicz blitz, where he would like throw like a blitzing 4-punch combination and end it with a big body kick. Like that's also gone too, you know. And now he's much more of like forward pressure jabs and leg kicks.
Because we only have 14 fights to talk about tonight, I'm going to take a sec to address Antoine Willis's question. The closest thing to MMA in the 80s was honestly, I mean, they didn't even call it MMA until like 95 or 96, but you know, UFC 1 happened in November of 93, but that was just the commercialization of a sort of style versus style subculture that had been building for at least a decade. Like the famous Gracie gym challenges that they brought from Brazil to Southern California in the 80s, they were taking out ads in the back of Black Belt magazine, which, you know, before the internet, before MMA as a sport was, you know, it was like the Bible for martial arts fans. They were, you know, challenging folks. And hell, in the very same McNichols Arena where UFC 1 took place, like there had been an event there a year before in like late 92 called the Sabaki Challenge. That was a full contact karate competition with some limited groundwork. It was 85% of the way to what UFC 1 was going to be anyway. And then it also had like 80s karate shit, like people like breaking bricks and like wood and stuff in between the fights, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, like the closest thing to MMA in the 80s was, yeah, it was full contact, you know, slightly mixed rules tournaments like that, and Gracie's doing gym run-ins. Like that's
What's
dude,
funny.
All right. Here's one more. Jason DeLucia, you know, early legend in MMA, was an alternate on UFC 1, ended up fighting in several of the first one-digit UFCs. He had already lost to the Gracies in like a gym fight like 3 years before that. You know? But you know, like Jason DeLucia, like very, you know, famous early MMA fighter, had already gotten tapped out in the gym by I don't think it was Hoist, but like just by one of the Gracies in, you know, in the gym in LA, like, you know, around 1990.
And then Combat Sambo's been around. I mean, they have a little bit different rules than MMA, but pretty darn close.
But if you're looking not at Sport Sambo, but Combat Sambo, that's another thing that's, you're about 80% of the way to MMA. Like, hell, like Sherdog had been around since the mid 80s. You know, Pancrase was around before the UFC was, you know, like there's a reason, like, you know, Ken Shamrock already had like a 4-0 record at UFC 1. Yeah.
And you could really get into the weeds too with like, you know,
I'm tempted to get into the weeds, but Boxing God and I could probably like, there we go. He used to get VHS tape from an ad in Black Belt magazine, like in between, like ordering like, you know, wooden practice swords and shit. Yeah. Like the ads in the back of Black Belt magazine were amazing.
It's funny.
Some dude like offering to teach you like the dim mock death touch if you just like mail them for, $14.99.
The other day I went down this like rabbit hole on Facebook of like this very con artist, like super strip mall, like sensei dude, where he was like showing his like training techniques. And I spent like 20 minutes scrolling, just cracking up at all of his headbutt techniques where he's teaching people to headbutt. He's teaching people to go. And I was in fits, just like, just watching this guy, the death touch. Like he had all of these, talking about Bruce Lee and shit. And I'm like, man, this guy's so far off. It's taking people's money, like.
All right. That is the main card of UFC 323. Topping off the 9-fight prelim slate. Well, we now know what is going to mark Grant Dawson's ceiling as a competitor in MMA. Like, as devastating as his wrestling and grappling can be, like just as badly as he has washed some very good fighters with his ground game, and honestly, as effective as he can be offensively striking, if you've got faster hands than him and you come forward, put him on his heels right away and start trying to punch him in the face, you have a pretty good chance of putting him away.
He also just like looked smaller and out of shape in this fight. Like I've seen him like way more like just physically looking in better shape, like more cut up, more toned. His legs look really small. It was funny because he was actually landing quite a bit on Manuel Torres with that overhand. Like he was kind of winning all the striking up until that point, but it also seemed like Manuel Torres was letting that kind of almost go down, waiting for him to overextend once. Kind of cut that angle, hit that cross, and then hit him with the freaking left hook in the middle of that exchange. And then Dawson was done. So was my MMA fantasy team, more than likely as well. We all went crashing and burning.
Like Dawson, he's so hittable, and the chin, it's just an off switch. Like it's not like the people that have been knocking him out are chumps. Like there are good strikers with decent power, but yeah, it is a Luke Rockhold type thing where he can be doing absolutely fantastic and then just comes unstrung from a solid punch to the jaw.
And in this fight, he fought like he knew that could happen.
He has to know it could happen. He's a smart guy. He trains at a great team. Like, yeah.
And he started his career at 145. He might want to take another look at that again.
Oh, Iman Report is actually asking that, and I was in the midst of just replying in the chat. Like he tried and failed. Like he missed weight twice at 145. Yeah. Like he is. I'm not saying he can't, but he's a huge dude. Like
he needs to go to the PI because the PI can. The PI. You can go there. They do all those tests on you to see if you can actually make the weight. They'll have you do like a test cut and all that stuff. It's free for the fighters. If he's still got a job, he might want to go try to do that. And I'm sure he still does have a job.
Get out of Nebraska, man. Like the state food of Nebraska is fried mayonnaise balls. Like go to the PI.
Dear God. I've been through Nebraska a couple times and not a lot there.
Nope. I've been through Nebraska plenty of times, because I used to live on the East Coast, go to college, out in Utah. I've driven through Nebraska plenty of times. Coldest I've ever been was like coming back from like Christmas vacation one time. I was just driving with 3 friends, so we drove straight through, just drove 2,100 miles in like 30 hours. The shit that I could do when I was 20. And we just stopped off I-80 somewhere to take a whiz. January, winds blowing like 35 miles an hour. It's 5 below. And I was like, if my friends just got in the car and pulled away from me, I would be dead on this ground in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
This is the coldest I've ever been. Yeah.
I had something similar happen to me in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Dude, South Dakota cold, I can't even picture. Before Dawson versus Torres, we had another lightweight contest. Terrence McKinney, Chris Duncan. How long was the fight? Okay, it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, exactly half a round. So, literally longer than the average Terrence McKinney fight. We know what we have in Terrence McKinney at this point. He is kill or be killed to an extent that shouldn't be possible for a fighter in maybe the deepest division in the UFC in 2025. This shouldn't be possible. Like, he is the worst fighter that I would give a non-zero chance of beating the UFC lightweight champ on any given Saturday. And he is the best fighter who might be cut on Tuesday.
I like Terrence. I really hope that he does not hear this, but like, I'm now 100% sold on the fact that he's a front runner. Like, I watched him quit in this fight. He got elbowed in the eye, went down, was grimacing, did not fight back. He when that choke was sunk in, like, he was immediately reaching his hand up to tap even before that choke was like all the way in. Yeah. The way that he was getting clobbered and the way he was acting, you'd look like they would have need to put him on the stool and he would be needing like medical attention. The second the fight's over, he's popping up, he's shaking Duncan's hand. Like, I almost don't want to see people fight that just go down this easy.
Well, of course not.
Like, this is now like, it's like, I hope it, but like, this was shameful. Like you were wrecking this dude. You got hit with one elbow and you were just done. There was no fight back. Like, you were grimacing the second that choke got put in. He was like asking for it to be stopped, it seemed like.
And I was kind of surprised it wasn't stopped earlier than it was. I was kind of surprised Duncan needed to choke him at all. I mean, he landed what may literally have been 30 or 40 punches on a turtled, non-defending Terrence McKinney.
Ninja Kitty. Like, this, he's not like, this is what it kind of reminded me of. Like, I hate to say it, where like,
yeah,
like, it reminds me of Bob's, like, just, I hope he still has a job and like, maybe he is better suited for something like Karate Combat or something like that. But
Karate Combat trying to let people die this weekend too.
Always.
No, Sam Alvey versus Rebellis to Spain.
Yeah.
One, okay, so you're giving me a 42-year-old middleweight versus a 32-year-old Titanic Taekwondo Olympic champ that's not allowed to be taken down.
Currently the biggest heavyweight competing in a combat sport.
Yeah. And they, as much damage as Sam Alvey took in his UFC career, I think they let him take about a third of that just against Despain. Like, yeah, Antoine Willis, that referee should just be arrested. Yeah.
And yeah, that one was a violent assault.
Yeah, like the same way like my wife could lose her nursing license if she like drove by a car wreck and didn't stop and help. Like, yeah, there should be something similar for refs. Like,
what if you really have to go to the bathroom though? Like, what if you really have to take a dump?
Then you just
sorry.
Yeah.
You lose your license.
And anything else about McKinney versus Duncan? Because here's the thing. Terrence McKinney is exactly who we thought he was. And because of that, like, everything Duncan accomplishes in the UFC at this point is gravy. Like, he is so overperformed compared to how I thought he was going to be. But it's not like his stock even rose that much in my eyes, because like the whole assignment was survive the first 90 seconds against Terrence McKinney and then just like wait for the wheels to fall off. McKinney isn't even the Death Star. Like, the Death Star, you have to like dodge the firepower and then hit the little exhaust port. Like, McKinney's not even the Death Star. Like, if you make it 90 seconds, he'll shoot a torpedo down his own exhaust port.
He is like Smaug, but instead of having one missing scale,
he has one scale.
All in one scale. Like, like, it's the exact opposite. He's got one scale only. It's a I just had such high hopes for him, like the incredible like his UFC debut, and he has the ability to go out there and just crush anyone. But the way he crumbled in this fight, and then the way he was back up on his feet, talking to Duncan, he's making posts on his Instagram. Hey guys, I'm okay, everything's fine. He doesn't even look like, it was just like, dude, if you like, I don't know, and maybe it's because I had higher hopes and I really liked him and I thought he was, you know, thought he could actually do something in the UFC. But now I'm just, yeah, I'm, I really hope if he still has a job with the UFC, he can maybe get it together. But this is definitely it. This is what we got. Like, yeah.
Prior to that, Maycee Barber back. I was very off in my prediction, my take on the main event. Like, even if I thought Jan was going to win, I never would have predicted the fight would play out like that. Maybe the second most wrong I was about any fight on this card was Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. Like, I called into question whether she should even be the favorite, just considering that it had been a year and a half since she'd been in the cage. Like, she had the very famous medical scratching the day of her last time out. She looked fine. Like, weight cut wise on the scale, she looked fine.
Yeah.
And in the cage, I'll say this, she is back to being good at the things Maycee Barber's always been good at.
100%. I think she, like you had mentioned, she had some surgeries done. And I think that may have caused her an issue. Like, maybe she was trying to come back too quick from that. And caused her to have some issues, but now she seems like she has her weight cut in check. She's still young. She's got very good ground and pound. She is just one of those fighters that is just going to always be there. She's not going to stop coming. If you don't take her out, she's going to continue to press forward. Mm-hmm. Her striking, she didn't look like she got better, but honestly, like, this is still a huge win for her because all the issues that she faced, like, and to still look the same as before, mm-hmm. potentially even better.
And because here's the thing, Barber was on a 6-fight winning streak coming into this fight. Like, there was nothing wrong with what she was before. Yeah. It's just you needed to prove you could be healthy and make it to the cage and perform like you have been performing. Because she's not the best technical striker in the world, but she's come up with a system that kind of papers over the fact that she does not have very fast hands or feet, but she covers for that remarkably well, just with volume, forward progress. And I think the threat of the takedown, or the threat of her running people to the fence where she's just a bear against the fence, even if she isn't taking you down, probably helps set up her striking some. But yeah. And the fact that she's hittable, she kind of papers over with toughness, which, that'll work for as long as it works.
And you know what, for her too, she's one of the only women's fight, well, not one, but one of the select few women's fighters that, are elite, that are consistently punishing in every facet of their offense. It's not like, okay, she's a decent wrestler, but she's a good striker, or, good striker, poor wrestler, whatever. Like, no, like, she's punishing enough on the feet with good power to where she's continuously effective, because she's more than likely going to be the more physical of the two. She's nasty in the clinch, and then on the ground, like we saw in this fight, Karine Silva had control for minutes in round one, and then the second that things switched over, Maycee, like, in 10 seconds, Barber did more damage than Silva did in 4 minutes. Like,
yeah,
she got venomous ground and pound for this division, and she's one of the only few.
Yep, she is. Her whole thing of just kind of being out to hurt her opponent and capable of hurting her opponent in any phase of the game. I'm not saying she's the same level fighter, but you need to look to someone like Zhang Weili to really get there. Where, like, Weili's striking hurts you, her wrestling hurts you, yep. Her grappling hurts you. Yeah. Her ground and pound is filthy.
And in this division, like you start looking at she's not going to be matched up against anyone behind her in the rankings. The UFC is going to continuously push her forward. More than likely, they're going to, and this is what I think that they should do. I guess that's what we're getting into. But I mean, they need to just rebook the Blanchfield fight.
They can reboot the Blanchfield fight. I mean, or they could have her fight Mononfiore. Really, it's just anyone that's not one win away from a title shot, I think is fair game for Barbara right now. Like we have Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas coming up pretty soon. I think the winner of that's probably a little too close to a title shot. But Barbara might only be one win away herself. If she fights someone like Blanchfield or Fiore and wins uncontroversially, and again, just shows up, makes the weight, and looks like herself in the cage, I don't think she needs to do much more. She's on a 7-fight win streak now. And the thing that I was most concerned about, her ability to continue to make 125 healthily, appears to be a non-factor at this point. I am happy to be wrong about that.
Did she make 126 or 125?
I can give you the exact answer to that. 125 and a half.
That makes me feel even better.
Yep.
You know, and if she can continue to do this, she's a threat to the title. She's a threat to the people above her. Like, I think stylistically, Mononfiore is a harder fight probably than Blanchfield, but like,
well, yeah,
she may go out there and beat Blanchfield.
She might. And I mean, the thing about Fiore is she's bigger, and Barber is at her best when she's the bully.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe she ends up pushing around Mononfiore a little more than I would have expected. She looked to be in vintage form tonight, and I am happy to be wrong. So good. Prior to Barber versus Silva, Fares Ziam and Nazim Sadikov, Ziam was a slight favorite. He had plenty of routes to victory. He looked improved. He's another fighter, and there are a couple on the card that part of their performance, part of their improvement was just looking physically bigger and stronger than the last time we saw him. And conversely, there were a couple fighters on the card that looked strangely diminished. Like you mentioned how Grant Dawson looked kind of a little smaller and softer than usual. Bruno Ferreira looked bigger and softer than usual. But Fares Ziam is another one, just a guy who's just coming into his later 20s now, putting a little more muscle on his frame, showing improved power in his shots. Like I thought of him as more of kind of a point fighter from the outside, but you know what? If you're scoring points from the outside, but like those jabs and kicks hurt a lot too, that can only help you. And then boom, offensive wrestling from the long skinny guy, huh?
He fucked up Nazim Sadiakov. There's no kind way to say it. Like, this was real one-sided. Like, Nazim Sadiakov went out there and tried to grapple with him because he's like, well, I watched Terrence McKinney do this and I beat Terrence McKinney, so I could do this too. And like, no, Fares Ziam not only shored up his wrestling, but like he was clearly, this was one fight where it was just like clear as day if they fought even 100 times. Like the one win from Nazim Sadiakov is Fares Ziam slipping on a banana peel and like, you know, injuring himself.
Yeah, that's more the thing. Like he won, and this sounds like it should be a rudimentary thing, but considering some of the other results tonight, he won in a way that left no doubt who the better fighter is.
Oh, dude, like the way he crushed him with those elbows and that finishing sequence on the cage was just like,
yeah,
he may be, even including Cyril Gane, even including Nasruddin Imavov, like he's probably like the most skilled French fighter in the UFC. Like he looked
relative to his division, yeah, because like Morgan Charriere is very talented, but so are a ton of UFC bantamweights and featherweights. So yeah,
Ziam looked incredible here. Like his striking looked good, even on that. Like there was a point in the second round where you could just tell like Sadiakov was like, "I'm gonna need a gun."
Yeah,
like That's the only way he wins this fight is with a weapon.
Yeah. Sorry. I realized that we got out of the Barber Silva fight without talking about the non-point deduction. So I was quick. Yeah, I think a point should have been taken. I think refs are too slow.
For her to get hit with that up kick and Mark Smith to be like, stop acting, that was a glancing blow.
Dude, why would you say that before even like watching the replay? Like,
and I am not a pro fighter. Neither you're not either. I'm assuming that both of us have probably been in our fair share of fisticuffs over our lives, and I can tell you, like right now, that Macy Barber is way tougher than you and I both, and there is absolutely no reason for her to act like that hurt her, especially based off of her being like, "I'm okay, I want to quit fighting." Or I want to keep fighting. Like, I don't want to quit.
Oh, think of the place Macy Barber was mentally coming into this. Like, she could have lost an arm, and she would have been like the Black Knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Just like, it's just a flesh wound. I'll bite you on the ankles. Like, not only was there no incentive for her to play up the injury, like there was every reason for her to downplay the severity of it. Like, I don't even think she was trying to get a point taken. She was like, she wanted to get back to fighting. The ref should have taken the point.
Genuinely hurt.
Yeah, she was genuinely rocked by a completely illegal strike, and that was not the first time that Silva had kind of flirted with danger there.
Yeah, I didn't like that. We definitely missed that one. That was a huge error by Mark Smith, and that tells me that like Mark Smith, Herb Dean wouldn't pull as much as we shit on Herb Dean. Like Herb Dean has true pro fights. Like he's been punched in the face. And
here you go, Mark Smith. He's not the worst active ref. Like he's not. He is the highest level ref that never fought, and as far as I'm aware, doesn't even really train. And I think it kind of showed tonight.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be punched in the face to know what it's like to get punched in the face.
Hey, like when I finally started going to the gym seriously, like I flat out told Alex, I'm like, I don't want to become a professional fighter. I may not even want to grapple professionally. I just want to get better at my day job. And there's a difference between having watched so many hundreds of fights that you can just go, okay, he's not finishing that guillotine from there. What's next? Versus having been in that position, both as the defending and attacking fighter, and knowing exactly what, the fighter on bottom should or should not be doing, and vice versa. Like, I don't know how I wrote and talked about this sport for as long as I did without training regularly, and I have no idea how in the hell I would try refereeing it without that kind of knowledge. And I say that as somebody who took the Association of Boxing Commission's reffing and judging course a couple summers ago and absolutely aced the test. Like there's nothing wrong with my mental mastery of these concepts, but yeah, I think you need the reps.
Yeah, or just get into go get into a scrap, and then you'll learn what it's like to be hurt, and you'll maybe have a little bit more respect.
Anyway, anything else to say about Ziam versus Sadikov?
Dude, Ziam is big for the division. He hits really hard. His grappling is not only shirred up, but like he can be offensive. Like I have a fight for him.
What do you got?
And it's really lazy, but I think it would be incredible. It's really lazy matchmaking, but like him and Jalen Turner. Just book
okay.
it. Fucking make it happen. They're two giant dudes. They just make it happen.
Fereziam's progression. What it reminds me of is it's a lightweight Yusuf Zalal, where he went from being a lanky, high volume, relatively low power kickboxer who could be kind of pushed and bullied around to somebody who all of a sudden was actually a pretty good offensive wrestler, not easy to push around, and better power on his strikes. And mostly
violent.
probably and violent. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as Yusuf Zalal. Prior to that, middleweights, Marvin Vettori, Bruno Ferreira. As weird and jarring as it is to think that Petr Yan is younger than Merab Dvalishvili, Bruno Ferreira being like a year and a half older than Marvin Vettori is just wild. Because I feel like, oh man, Vettori must have been fighting since Ferreira was in diapers. He's just been in the UFC for a million years. No, Vettori is younger, but you know what? I think he's an old 32. What I saw tonight, kind of in contrast to Macy Barber, who just came back and she seems to be good again at all the things she ever was. I saw Vettori try to do a Marvin Vettori fight, and he just I'm not saying he quit or he's a front runner or he wilted or anything, but he flat out didn't have that extra gear in the third round. He tried to dig deep like he often does, and just there was nothing there for him.
I also don't think I think he's gotten worse since going to ATT. Like, Rafael Cordero really, really was able to get him to like rely on his durability and have consistent forward pressure. Like, ATT is like seemingly trying to make him this like technical fighter where like he's pressing Bruno Ferreira, landing the jab, landing combos. I watched him land like a slick 1-2 tonight and then circle out, take the back foot, and then just like go back to the center of the cage where like anytime he was actually pressing forward and throwing combinations, like he was having success. He was only losing when he stopped pressing. He didn't get tired. He just like, I don't like, he could have and should have won this fight. And he just like, anytime he would take the back foot, he would start getting tagged up. Anytime he would let Bruno Ferreira push forward, he would start getting tagged up. Anytime he pressed forward, he was winning the fight. But he just, clearly he could take Ferreira's best shots, and he just kind of, I don't know. I'm cool with not watching Marvin Vettori fight anymore, to be honest.
I'm cool with not watching Bruno Ferreira fight anymore. Like, he missed weight.
Especially if you can't make weight as a 5 foot and middleweight.
Yeah, he missed weight by like 3 pounds. Even Daniel Cormier, who is not the slimmest dude, kind of pointed out Ferreira looked fatter than in his last fight. He looked undertrained. It does make me wonder whether something, went on in camp. I have no interest in making excuses for his performance, and he doesn't need too many excuses made since he won the fight. But for me, at least, it wasn't the kind of win that leaves me very excited to see his next fight, and doesn't leave me like, this should have been a win that propelled him into fighting a top 7 or 8 type guy. Like, if you can beat Marvin Vettori convincingly, but instead he blew weight and he won the fight in a way that just made me feel more like it was down to Vettori not really showing up at his best.
Yeah, like, DC should never be poking fun of anyone about their weight. And if he's doing that, then that's a problem for you.
Yeah.
This is just men's middleweight. Like, it's men's middleweight. Like,
Ferreira jumps to 205. Well, if he misses weight that badly again, the UFC will jump him to 205, I think.
He might not be jumping, he may be rolling. Like,
yeah.
Because if you tell him, hey buddy, you could now weigh in at 205, he's only going to get bigger.
Yeah. Before that, Jalen Turner, Edson Barboza. There were a bunch of impressive individual performances tonight. Yeah, there were only 1 or 2 like really good fights, but there were plenty of individually like eye-opening performances. This one as eye-opening as any of them, as Edson Barboza just blistered, or Jalen Turner just blistered Edson Barboza on the feet.
Barboza was like starting to plant and fire back with him, but as soon as he got hurt once, he started doing that like Barboza back foot shuffle against the cage. And then right when that happened, you're like, oh, he's screwed. He's going to get laced up here. And Jalen Turner probably shouldn't have retired from MMA. I mean, that really wasn't a retirement. Like, he just needed a break.
Oh, that was frustration.
You know, I think he might have needed to tell himself he was done too.
Yeah.
In order to build back stronger. Yeah, this is sad though. Like, he beat the fuck out of Barboza, but Barboza went out on his shield, you know, the way that he'd want to. He would have much rather have it stop then than have it be like an early stoppage and get upset. He definitely wasn't mad about the stoppage. Yeah. But you know, I also wasn't surprised by this. Like, watching it happen and watching it unfold, I was like, yep. This is sad.
Turner is incredibly inconsistent. I made this distinction on the preview where Edson Barboza came into this fight something like, 15-8 in the UFC. So, he's had high and low points, but he is not an inconsistent fighter. He's a very consistent fighter who is just very very vulnerable to style matchups. Jalen Turner is incredibly inconsistent. Keith pointed this out. There will be nights where he looks like a guy that could win a title.
Yeah.
And then there are times when he loses to fighters who are out of the UFC a year later. Like, it's, yeah.
Or just have like a really, really close fight with someone that is, elite and just like miss it by a hair, or like the Renato Moicano thing. But boy, oh boy, if you're an old fighter in the division, like, stay away from Jalen Turner, because now look like what he did to Bobby Green and what he did to Edson Barboza was like scary violent.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you can call up examples of him just really, really dominating decent ground fighters on the ground. Like,
yeah.
Like the guy that just got wrestled into oblivion by Matt Frivola like 6 years ago is gone. He is a very much improved fighter from what he was a few years ago.
And he's so big for the division. His boxing is crisp. He's got really, really good power. He is really good at range, but he's also really, really good in the pocket. Like, he's pretty good on the back foot. Like, he was counterpunching with Barboza, and he was landing really good counters. And I mean, the way he finished Barboza, like, if you get hurt in front of him, like, he is not scared to absolutely shut your freaking lights off.
Yep. Like, good stuff from Jalen Turner. Before that, I don't know if it's good stuff, but it was the battle of the Evos. Ivo Bardievsky versus Ivo Aslan.
Dude.
It's one fighter that I'm not sure whether he's good against a fighter that I'm sure he's not. So the outcome didn't surprise me too badly, but yeah,
we're talking about someone that was outsmart by Ivan Kuchalaba. Ivo Aslan seems like the type of guy where, like, during the pre-fight, they're like, "What's your favorite food?" He just says beef. Like, Iwo though, like that, like the composure in the pocket, like the way he was just like, ooh, you watch him like put his head right off the center line and land that lead right check hook. Like, just that little sequence was like, oh, Dustin Poirier is still alive somewhere. Like, even if, because that was some Dustin Poirier shit, just, staying real tight in the pocket, using his vision, and just wham, that lead hook. He got rocked. I mean, shout out for Iwo. Like, he was under fire, and his composure was really, really impressive. Like at the end of the day, I mean, incredible fight, rock'em sock'em robots, but like the dude that wanted to remain technical in the pocket, like he won, and he clearly hits very freaking hard too, and he's clearly very durable, and he's undeterrable, which at men's light heavyweight, having all of those qualities, like, you could go and, like, would you be surprised if he just knocked Johnny Walker dead?
Nope. Nor would I be surprised if Johnny Walker knocked him dead. He is the perfect addition to this division.
He's the type of kid that like in 2 or 3 fights he could find himself fighting someone like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was excited. This was awesome.
Like he's probably 2 wins away from fighting like a fringe top 15 guy. Like it's just such an empty division and such an aging division where so many of the guys have already fought each other. Yeah. Like, things are wide open for a 27-year-old fighter who's 7-0 and looks like he's going to be in consistently exciting fights time in and time out. Speaking of upwardly mobile relative newcomers, Mansour Abdul Malik putting away Antonio Tricoli. I mean, Abdul Malik was one of the biggest betting favorites of the year. I mean, he might have been the biggest betting favorite of the year in a non-short notice matchup. I mean, he was like minus 1,200 on some books, but
John Anik is doing the announcement for Antonio Tricoli, and he's like, "Happy birthday! It's his birthday today." And then the very next thing he says, "You're a plus 750 underdog." Like,
happy birthday.
I do find it quite funny, and it's a very MMA thing to like. Okay, like you're a fighter, but like you're not good at it. Clearly, at least at the UFC level, and like you're a halfway decent poker player, but you're fighting, taking brain damage, which is probably going to impact your ability to do the thing you're good at, which is like play poker, because that does take some thinking and having to make some calculations and, you know, and decisions on the fly, and getting consistently beat up in between your poker tournaments is probably not a good idea for you to be continuously successful as a poker player. If I was Antonio Tricoli, I would be a poker player. He probably made $12,000 to get beat up really bad here when he just made $100,000 playing poker.
Is he still dating Mackenzie Dern? Is that why she was there?
I don't think they're together anymore, but maybe.
Oh. Well, maybe that's why he keeps fighting. It's like, just end. Just let it all end. Like,
but like, it's just. It's like if you've got 2 jobs, one pays you $50 an hour and one pays you $12 an hour, and you're working the overtime at the $12 an hour job and not the $50. Like, it just doesn't, you know, this is, to me, you know, stupid.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, he's a guy that only got into the UFC in the first place on the back of a Contender Series win that was overturned for PEDs. Like, he got like a 2-year suspension for that.
And he can go back to doing steroids again. It was honestly funny watching him pre-UFC, because like his body was so big and his head was so small, but like now he's having to be like a clean fighter too. Or leave the UFC, get on steroids again, and just go fight in like M1 Global or like some sketchy Russian orgs.
Yeah.
But mostly
Go to Power Slap.
Yeah.
With his reach, he could probably slap the guy at the next table over. Yeah.
Or just play poker.
Just play poker.
Like you made $100,000, dude. That how many UFC fights has Tricoli had? Like 4 at this point.
Oh, that was his third.
So he's getting paid $12,000 each. He's lost all of them.
Well, he might be 10. It might be 10 and 10 because it was a Contender Series contract. So,
shit. Yeah. Just like and they're in Vegas. Like, dude could have just made more money at the casino tonight.
Mr. C in the informality says we need more dark humor, Duffy. Somebody in the comment section of the preview show, like, basically accused me of racism against white people at the behest of my Jewish master. So if I have enough time at the end, I'll go on like a little racist rant and then make everybody happy. But before that, our opening fight of the night, Muhammadjan Naimov versus Myron Santos. Santos was a comfortable favorite. Myron Santos looked good. He missed weight. That's concerning, especially. Here's the thing. He dominated from pillar to post, but anytime you win late and you missed weight, like, I stick an asterisk. you know?
Yeah, because how would you have operated in that third round if you cut those extra couple pounds, bud?
Exactly. Yeah.
It sucks that he looked as good as he did because he missed weight.
Yeah. But
Jesus,
like Muhammadjan Naimov, he was 5-1 in the UFC coming into this. He had greatly overperformed my expectations of him, and he's not an easy guy to do that to. Like Santos just seemed just so much faster.
The opening was there, and that like offs that like on the half beat, like 1-2, the jab, and then the cross right behind it, where he kind of wound the cross up, threw it over, and then straightened out the punch, and it was just like it wasn't like a typical jab cross. It was he just threw it like on the half beat and just laced him with it, and it was done.
It's felt like a pitcher throwing something off speed, you know, or just like, you know, one of the pitchers that has like a weird curve that kind of like flattens out. Yeah, like advanced looking stuff.
Yeah, like
from a guy that really seemed to be getting by mostly on just physical diesel up to this point. Like, I'm not saying he's not skilled, but that's the kind of like nuance that I had not seen out of him in his first 3 UFC fights. Good stuff.
And the way he spoke in the post-fight interview, he said, Naimov's a really dangerous dude. I did not get a lot of openings in this fight, but the moment I got my opening, I capitalized on it, which means like he's in there thinking about shit. Like he's in there looking for things. He's, you know, and he's a young fighter. It sucks. He needs to just he switched camps. He's now training with the Fight Nerds. So I hope he can just get his weight stuff in order. If he's got his weight in check, dude. Yeah, he's gonna do things.
And yeah, he's one of those guys where he's young. I give him a pass on this weight miss. We'll just see how he looks going forward. That is it. All 14 fights from UFC 323. We've covered them all, the good, the bad, the ugly, otherwise. It's time to get to the fun stuff here. Do we need to cut anybody, Dev? Do you have anybody on your cut list?
Yes. I
have one. Let's see. I have one. Actually, just have one.
I have one for sure. We got to have the same person. I wouldn't be mad if like Vettori went away. Henry Cejudo is already retiring. You know, Barboza, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired. Like Terrence McKinney could potentially get cut off of this, but I mean, I'm just going to assume that you're cutting Tricoli just like me.
Yeah, Tricoli's 0-3 in the UFC at this point, has shown precious few signs of life. I think McKinney could lose a lot of fights and not get cut. Barboza, I wouldn't mind if Barboza retired. But if he doesn't retire, with the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that he has left in the octagon, the fact that he has compiled, I mean, a top 10 all-time highlight reel, I'm giving him one more winnable fight somewhere.
If they don't give Barboza a winnable fight, and I don't know, and he probably already has fought this person, but like, has he fought Jim Miller? Because that makes all the sense in the world to me.
I don't remember whether he's. I'd be fine with that. Yeah,
something like that. You know, where like he needs another person that's in the same place as him, and he needs a fight where he's gonna be like, give me a fight where we're like, these should just be pick'em odds. Like, let's give him a fight where, you know,
hell, I mean, he's probably a favorite against Jim Miller.
Probably. Or give him like Bobby Green, you know, like some aging dude that's not huge at 155 where Barboza doesn't have to kill himself to cut to 45, because clearly in this fight, he had no fear of Jalen Turner. It was just too much to overcome.
Yeah.
But like he was willing, like, you know, he was swinging and banging with Turner until he got clipped up, and, you know, he still wants to do it. But yeah. Barbosa.
Astral Karate is throwing out Barboza versus McKinney. Let's go.
Dude.
Everybody leaves town. Everybody leaves town matchup.
Somebody will die in that fight, because I'll tell you what, if Barboza is the last dude you want to flag against when he is like not doing, like, if he's having success and you're flagging,
yeah,
ask Dan Hooker about that.
Yeah. Movistar gets cut before dude. Merab might get cut before McKinney. Like,
Jesus.
I think the UFC considers themselves to get pretty good value out of McKinney, especially considering that they pay him what they pay him, and then he only picks up his win bonus about half the time.
Dude, he's never even got a post-fight bonus.
Which, I mean, dude, come on.
Like, what?
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bulls and Bears. Want to go negative or positive?
Let's do positive first.
Bulls it is. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it. Give us your Bulls in the chat, guys.
So my number 3, I'm just going to go with the obvious ones. My number 3 Bull is going to be Tatsuro Taira. Like, even though the decision was a little bit contentious, we were not sure if we love it, but you know, at the end of the day, he did finish a guy that's never been finished. He's probably got himself a title fight. Even though the outcome in the fight ended the way it did, Josh Van is now the UFC champion. He is now going to be getting championship pay for the rest of his career. And he took absolutely no damage. And knowing him, he can turn around and get into another fight real freaking quick. And he can demand more money. So he's my number 2. And then Petr Yan. Like, Merab was a minus 500 favorite. And Petr Yan kind of beat his ass.
Yep.
Those are my top 3.
I love those. I strongly co-sign on all of them. I will add to it Peyton Talbott.
Yep.
Again, he was a favorite. He was a big favorite. But you know what? There's something to be said for showing up and winning the fight you're supposed to win, and to do it in really entertaining fashion and be pretty classy in the aftermath as well. I mean, hell, he just won a fight on what might be the last UFC pay-per-view main card ever. I mean, we'll see what happens in the future, but hey, you know what? Good night of work for Peyton Talbott. I'm not going to add 2 more. Like, I agree strongly with yours. I will throw out, you know, whose stock like just took a little bump up tonight would be Valentina Shevchenko. She was in the crowd. Valentina Shevchenko, with her 2 title defenses, is now the most tenured current UFC champ. That is wild. Coming into this, we had Alexandre Pantoja with 5 straight title defenses. Merab Dvalishvili, was it 3? Yeah, because Umar in January was his first, and he won the 2 more. Valentina Shevchenko is now the current champ with the most defenses.
Oh, I'm just kind of like looking through some of these most recent like pay-per-views, and there's been a lot of titles changing hands. Like, even going like Alex Pereira knocking out Ankalaev. Like, there's been, it's crazy. And Shevchenko, dude, she's got like all the rubies, and she's doing. She may be the champ in this division. Like, if you could tell me the same thing in 1 year from now, and you could be like, oh, and now she has 4 title defenses. Like, I don't know if I'd be all the way surprised.
Antoine's Bulls, Peyton, Yan, Ferezayam, Talbot, Yan, Ivo Baraniewski, Yan, Talbot, Zayam. Yeah, everybody feeling it for Petr Yan and Peyton Talbott, two guys that might fight sometime in the next year for really big stakes. Now,
that'd be cool as
yes,
shit.
I take my money. Actually, don't just take my monthly subscription fee.
Yeah, take my $13.
It's going to be more than $13 by the time they settle this shit.
13 now.
Yeah. All right. Well, with the good must come the bad. Let's talk about bears. These are, of course, things whose stock is down after UFC 323. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about the stoppage, whether it was a little early, whether, given the stakes of the fight, the identity of the fighters, he should have gotten more leeway. But even before that, he wasn't looking great. Like, you can make the argument that, well, that's the whole thing about an early stoppage. It shortchanges both fighters. Because if you think it was early at all, then Taira was robbed of the opportunity for a more definitive, less controversial stoppage. So, but yeah, for Brandon Moreno, not a great night considering that he could well have been fighting Josh Van for the title early next year if he had won. Bad night for Merab Dvalishvili. For all the reasons you mentioned that Petr Yan is one of the bulls, it's not just that Merab lost, because he had lost fights before, but it was like when Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey. Yeah, it was a massive betting upset, but it didn't feel like a fluke. As soon as you saw it happen, you're like, oh, okay, next time these two fight, we need to take this into consideration. I feel the same way here. Yan won in a way that makes me think that he'd be a comfortable favorite if they fought again 4 or 6 months from now. That is not something I expected to take away from this. That's a serious stock down moment for Merab. I think that's 2 I threw out.
I could definitely throw out a couple.
Yeah. Throw out some.
Not gonna say Henry Cejudo, like, even though he did lose and kind of got beat up pretty bad. Grant Dawson, number 1 because he got stopped really badly, and then number 2 because my fantasy team is getting beat up because of him. So damn him. Nazim Sadiakov, like, this is one of the fights like where you'll go back and do tape study on this and go, wow, like, he had not even a single moment in this fight.
Nope.
And I'm not doing this in any order. And then also Marvin Vettori, like, he's on a hell of a skid. And he just seems to be regressing, and maybe the state of the middleweight division when he was fighting like Israel Adesanya was definitely pretty darn weak. But I mean, this is Bruno Ferreira. And as bad as we sometimes think Bruno Ferreira might be, like, he is 15-2-0. Like, he does only have 2 losses. That's all I got.
All right. After that, overall letter grade for the card.
B+. There's a lot of violent finishes. There's a lot of violence on this card. The Iwo versus Ebo was really cool. Jalen Turner made us all sad, but that was really violent and dope. Big moments like Pantoja's arm exploding. And then Petr Yan, like, beating a -500 favorite.
Yeah. I give it, Mr. C in the informality gives it an A+. I definitely want some of whatever he is drinking or smoking. I will answer Antoine real quick. Why was Marvin's fall off so hard? I think it's more that even at his best, Marvin his fights were always competitive. Like, he never really blew people out of the water. So his margin of error was always kind of narrow. And so once he started slipping at all, just started losing those same close fights. I think that's all it really boils down to. Yeah.
And when he was succeeding, like, the division just wasn't good.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Like, he didn't fight Robert Whittaker on his way to the title. He fought Kevin Holland. You know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else we've got here before I kick these people out of here. Like, I'll say a couple of potentially offensive things.
Bring it on.
Let's see. Dagestan is a country of 5 million people, 3 last names, and 1 barber, apparently. Let me see. Oh, because I'm supposedly in the control of the Jewish cabal, as you can see, my wife is Jewish. I am not, but she is, and we get along just fine, even though I'm going to say that, like many countries have a national martial art. Russia has Sambo, Brazil has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You would think, oh, Israel, Krav Maga. No, like based on what I've seen from fight cards in Israel and Israeli fighters that have made it like to the UFC level, the Israeli national martial art is doing judo on people who don't know how to do judo.
Here's the thing, Ben, is they don't have to be good at defending themselves because that's what we're here for, baby.
Good night from the Zionist-occupied Sherdog Radio Network. I've been Ben. He has been Dev. Thank you guys for hanging.
America is the greatest country.
It is the greatest country. I'm going to cut this stream before I get fired.